today's guest, Jessica Kleinschmidt. She's in the Bay Area and is one of those people that is a jack of all trades, has a ton of great skills. I'm constantly asking her questions about social media and now being on camera because she's a longtime reporter, both in sports and entertainment. And it's awesome to see you. Why are you so cute? Stop it. It's
I have to step up my game when I'm on with you, Amy. I can't. I'm not going to half-ass it. I got to do it. I got to, yeah.
Good for you. Well, thank you. So I waited. There's one more clip from the Pro Basketball Hall of Fame induction that I wanted to share. And I thought you would appreciate this too, because it's Candace Parker and she's addressing her ball, right? So she's got this love affair with her ball that she brings up to the podium with her.
It felt weird to walk onto the stage without the very reason why I'm here today. My muse. We did a lot together. We dunked on UConn at UConn. Oh yeah, we gonna talk our stuff. We shimmied over our right shoulder and hit that sick fadeaway off the glass so many times. We had our own signature shoe. We were the first woman to grace the cover of NBA 2K. We traveled from Milan to Tokyo. We assisted. We were positionless. We won at every level for every team we played for. And now we stand on the podium as first ballot Hall of Famers. There will be others that follow, but my wish is may you grow it, may you love it, may you enjoy it, and may you leave it better. Whether the beginning at 13 or now at 40, it was never about anything else. We were meant to be a love story that began 27 years ago. Okay.
Much to love about that. Not only is she a badass and she really raised the level of play her time in the WNBA, but now she's in our space, right? So she's a broadcaster, and not only for WNBA and a talking head about women's hoops, but she's now doing major NBA broadcasts. And so I love that anything Candace Parker puts her mind to, she crushes it, but also just so neat because you and I both fell in love with sports. I mean, you just love baseball. It's your passion and your soul, and it's now become our careers. And so I just thought that moment spoke to me about just falling in love when you're a certain age, and it's carried you through decades.
Yeah. And I mean, she's talking about her basketball. Mine was my glove, right? I would sleep with it. Probably awkward to sleep with a basketball, but I can appreciate it. And that's what you do when you get a new glove, you have to break it in. You're running it over with your parents' car. You're putting it underneath your mattress. You're breaking it. You're putting it in the oven. There's all these weird things that you can do. But in a weird way, you're beating it up because you love it so much. And I was an infielder, so that was my baby. And it was a smaller glove, but that's what it is. And it becomes a part of you. And I really appreciate that because it goes to show it's a basketball, sure, but that's her livelihood. You mentioned she's in the media now, and that competitive nature doesn't stop when they get over there as well. I've talked to a lot of people who transitioned, and part of the reason why they said yes, obviously their background, their resume helps, but knowing that they can keep the competitive factor going and learn from us, that's always great.
I always tell them, welcome to the dark side, because for so many years, they've kept us at a maybe respectful or professional arm's length. And now, hey, come over here and try to do this. It's not just about talking, but it is fun too, because as we see more of them come into the space, it's neat to be able to get the stories. So the stuff behind the scenes that while we might see in clubhouses or locker rooms, it's not the same when you're part of that family, the closed door meetings. And so I always tell athletes when they ask me, how do I set myself apart? Well, you give us the perspective of someone who's in a very slim minority. It seems like there's a ton of professional athletes, but very few Americans, very few humans in this world have done what you've done, Candace Parker, at the highest level. So share what you know, because that's all new to us. And so, she's been great at it. She doesn't need our advice, but I'm so happy for her because I enjoyed watching her entire career. So that's super cool.
Yeah. And I think that's what's kind of interesting too. I don't know how many times you've dealt with it, but the moment the record button comes on, whether you have a rapport with the guy or the girl at all, they just get a little bit nervous because how many times has the media thrown them underneath the bus? We've all been there. We've all seen it. Luckily, I haven't done it too much, but how many times have you gone on live television and said the wrong thing or worded it wrong? That happens. But there's been a couple, like Ramon Laureano, the chattiest Kathy. The moment the record button's on, I start my iPhone. it goes very, very quiet. But he's smart. He's very, but it goes to show. So the moment they're out of that and they're part of the media, that's when it starts flowing. And people love the behind the scenes stuff. I think we talk about social media all the time. I think that's a big reason why social media in sports has gotten so big, is people want to see the minutia that goes behind the scenes. And you hear these stories, because storytelling is a big proponent of our livelihood and why we get paid and why we do what we do. And I love telling stories because a lot of people may not like the sport. They don't understand it. Maybe they think baseball is boring. I've come across those, but that's why you tell them a story and they start following a random baseball player because you tell them a story, because that part will never die. And I think that's what's really cool about it.
And you have such a way of getting baseball players, even media people sometimes, that you've talked to, different public figures, to open up. So when you have to talk to an athlete who doesn't seem quite so chatty and is more reticent about opening up, what are some tricks that you have or some methods that you might use to get them to talk to you and forget that there's a camera there?
Yeah, it's a great question. After a while, you figure out who the personalities are, and it's, I covered the 112 loss season team for the A's, and you have to still get a quote from somebody after every single one of those games. And you just know you have to go to Shea Langoliers, you go to Tony Kemp. But there were times where there was a younger player who maybe wasn't 100% comfortable, but also wasn't chatty Cathy, and that's okay. You have to have 75 questions prepared for them. And that's just one of those things you have to do.
What?
And over time, you develop a rapport with them and they just get used to it. But I'd rather have I'd rather have 75 questions ready, because sometimes they want to give you a short answer. And sometimes it's nothing personal. They just they want to get back to their stuff. They want to get back to their warm-ups and everything. And it's not a starting pitcher, so you're not required necessarily to talk to them after the game. But if they go 4 for 4 and they get a home run, you have to talk to them and those things. So overly preparing has never messed me up. Sometimes I would go over when I'm talking too much, if it's in between a game or anything, but it's just over preparing. And a lot of times I'm just a person I can kind of get your personality in the first couple of interactions. And most of the time, don't just come up them to the first thing, unless it's an away team. There's different strategies. But if it's somebody I'm going to cover throughout the entirety of the season, I just try reaching out at the beginning, just developing a rapport, because that way, the next time I talk to them and they see a camera in their face and they know I have to get a couple of quotes, they know. And it's really about saying hey, I have to do my job. They understand it and they're doing their job as well. So it's nothing that you can really teach. It's just really something you have to present, and just being a cool person and understanding that they're people too. And I have a background in baseball playing, so that certainly helps, but it's just one of those things. I try to just talk to them like it's a conversation, and that's when the good conversations and the good interviews actually take place.
Well, it's about investing in the relationship, right? And whatever the relationship is, whether it's professional, whether it's you do your job, I do mine, the quicker we get this out of the way, the quicker you can go back to the clubhouse.
Right.
But if they know that they can count on you and they can trust you to do the job the way that you've told them that you will, well, then that relationship builds there. And no doubt, I think a lot of professional athletes would rather talk to the face they know or the person they know than a bunch of strangers. And so you actually become, in essence, kind of that safe place, that safe space where they can fit, into their comfort zone.
That's why beat reporters have it made, and the guys really trust them. The girls really trust them, because it's one of those things too. I'm a follow-up girl. If I didn't 100% understand what you said before I tweeted out, I ran after guys so many times being like, do you mind if I tweet this?
Wait a minute, go back.
Can I do this? Because there was one guy who was kind of on the radar for a home run derby, but he wasn't invited yet. And I said, if they asked you, would you want to do it? And he said, yeah. And I was getting ready to tweet it. And I was like, I don't know if I should do that yet. So I ran after him. And he's like, thank you for asking, but no, please don't tweet that. So you have to and I could have been the person to ignore it and just go do it. And this was when I was with NBC. So I wasn't with the A's quite yet. I could do kind of, report what was there. So that's kind of stuff is one of those things. Unfortunately, having a conscience really kind of screwed my career in certain ways. What is wrong with me? Oh, so rude. But it's just one of those things.
Yeah,
I know. Breaking news was never really my thing. So luckily that happened. But yeah, I think it's just one of those things, in the back of my head, if I'm you should probably not do this. I mean, there's a lot of times I ignore that little voice, but it's also one of those things nowadays, I'd rather just be, okay, because I can tell you one thing, one piece of information could solidify a relationship, but it could also really ruin a relationship.
Yes.
And I'd rather take my time and all of that. Because there's been a couple of times there was like an injury involved, and I'd be like, hey, I don't know if my host is going to ask, but if they do bring up this injury of yours, how would you like me to approach it? And those types of things are important, because injuries isn't just news, it's fantasy sports, and people get mad about their money. I don't think fantasy sports is important, but people do get really, invested in all of that. Mm-hmm. So absolutely, you're on the other end of it and all of that. So it's just one of those things that you just kind of trial and error.
Yeah. One of the things I've learned from you, and you're so good at this, I hope at some point I'm as comfortable. You do not care about, and I'm using my air quotations because I don't think you're foolish, but making a fool of yourself, whether it comes to trying new mustard or a new, vendor at the park, or trying on a costume. Like you will do whatever that you feel like fans can engage with and that will appeal to fans. And I just love the fact that you don't take yourself too seriously. I think that's a valuable asset in our business, because what we do is not important. Is it entertainment? Yes. Can it reach a lot of people? But it's not life or death for the most part. It's not the cure for cancer. It's entertainment. And you have had some of the most memorable moments. So what's a story, I don't know, like something that went horribly wrong or didn't go the way that you expected when you were kind of outside the baseball talk and analysis, but more about the fan experience?
Well, recently, the last year, because we were obviously in a new stadium in Sacramento, not new for me because I got my start in the PCL, but they wanted me to go and eat all the food for the vendors, which was fine. But how mortifying is it when you're stuffing French fries covered in gosh knows what on the big screen? You see your starting pitcher warming up. He's not noticing, but you're just mortified. And not only, Amy, they put it in slow motion, which was fine.
Oh, no.
Which was fine. I'm okay with it, but it's more or less you hear everybody else reacting. You're like, oh my gosh. So like all the interns felt horrible because they thought they did something wrong. But I'm like, no, it's totally fine. But when you see it for the first time, it is a little jarring. But it's one of those things too. You want to bring in more money, all of that. I would do that. I would try on some clothes, of course, at the team shop, and a lot of things. I wear like a dress. I'm this big. It's just gonna work. I'm like, I swear it's gonna look better on you. But you're right. I think it's one of those things. I also work with people who you can't force anything. Like I work with Dontrell Willis. You cannot just sit there and be cold, cool, calm, and collected. You have to have fun with it. And it's just one of those things too. I think the reason why is I'm just not the type of person to fake it. It's really hard for me. I think that can kind of be some of my demise. That is what it is. Nah. But you're right. I think I will never, if I did something to embarrass myself, I'm usually going to go to bed and sleep well, because I don't feel like I was lying. I wasn't lying. I wasn't being any sort of way. It's one of those things too. And plus it's the fact that like, I think it's so much fun to be authentically yourself. Yes. And I think that's people don't know how to do that these days, which is crazy to me. Because we live in a world where, social media is, and, I live and die by social media, and I post a lot. I'm covering up my pimples. I'm not showing that stuff, but I'm really trying. I adopted a squirrel the other day. I have a squirrel in my backyard that I've been feeding. I'm posting it. I want people to know.
You adopted a squirrel. How do you know it's the same squirrel who's coming back?
It is the same squirrel. I thought it was Norman. It's actually Norma. She is female, and she loves watermelon.
How do you know that? Hold on.
She loves watermelon, but this girl knows now. She knows. I look up and she's like on my little screen waiting for me to come feed her. And yeah, it's a thing.
No, seriously. How do you know it's Norma? I have no idea how you know.
Her belly gets bigger each time she visits me. So either she's expecting or I'm feeding her very, very well. And I want a Cinderella moment. I've always believed that if I meet a wild animal, whether it's a shark or a bear, they're just going to look at me and be like, let's cuddle. I'm that delusional person. I just am. Yeah, they're just gonna love me. I don't care if it's a wild animal. It's gonna love me.
I missed that. Yeah. I feel like I see you on social media a lot, but somehow
I dedicated a whole album to it on my Instagram. I'm going for it.
It takes way too much time and energy to be something you're not, or to fake it, to pretend. So I love your approach. You just are who you are, and there's only one you.
Yes.
And you happen to love squirrels. Okay, well, that's something new that I didn't know about you. So let's hope that squirrel doesn't. Wait, you're not letting Norma in the house, are you?
Not yet, but I'm not opposed. I'm not opposed.
Oh dear Lord, please film that because I will not say I told you so, but
no, for sure. You're right. You're right. I think I just, I'm one of those people and it's very maternal for me. I feel good about it. So.
I feel the same way about pets. I agree with that.
You understand. You understand.
Yes, I do. Yeah. So baseball in the Bay Area looks different right now. You've covered the A's for years and now they're no longer in Oakland. What's that like for you as someone who's just was so used to that and it's been years invested in that team?
It's such a weird dynamic now, Amy, because I was there for the finale at the Coliseum. Honestly, one of the top 3 and career and best days of my life. It was so cool. And, growing up an A's fan, I'm from Reno. So I would travel the 3.5-hour drive every single time, sometimes for the day to go watch a game. There's nothing like the Coliseum. You talk about authenticity. It reminds me of Reno. It's like a dive bar. And I love that about it because when I was 11, when I went to the game, it was a certain way. Now that I was in my 30s and covering the game, it was the same. And I think that was so beautiful. And, people love Fenway because of that. People love Wrigley because it's older. And I think that's what's beautiful about it.
But character. Yeah,
exactly. And I think it's one of those things though, like the in-between was really weird. I mean, I got my start covering the Reno Aces. So I'm familiar with the PCL, which is where the Sacramento River Cats play, the AAA team for the Giants. So that's where the A's were playing last season and this season. So it was weird. I got to be honest, like I felt like I was covering a lot of minor league games. I knew the guys for years, don't get me wrong, but it was just weird. And I didn't travel with the team. So unless the team was playing in San Francisco, I didn't go to any major league ballparks last year, except for those 3 games in San Francisco. So it was weird. It was awkward. But the cool part about it was we actually had to talk about baseball last season because the team was playing pretty well in the second half. And that was really great because, you see what the front office does. You're kind of like, I don't know. And then as time goes on, you're like, oh, that's why they drafted him. That's why they flipped him for that. And so that was kind of interesting. And it was a really talented group. A lot of younger guys who people haven't heard of, but you understand why they got them in the draft and you understand what the A's were trying to do. And as time goes on, but the second half of last season was really fun because we got to talk about anything but the move. And ultimately, gosh, and I know we want to talk about David Force later, but he was talking about the fact that for the last 10 years, all he's done is talk about when they put a shovel in the ground in Vegas, when they move, we don't know, so one of those things. So it's great to talk about baseball for the first time. It's a lot of talent. I mentioned those younger guys. There's so much power and they hit the ball really, really well. Nick Kurtz is one of the best players, if not the best hitter in the game right now. He's injured, but that goes without to be said. And a couple of veteran guys that are great. They make commitments to these guys, which is something the A's never do, long commitments too. So it's just one of those things where you see the foundation moving, you see it. But this season, they did not turn out to be what they ultimately should have been. And that's why there was a lot of front office and managerial or coaching moves. So we'll see what happens. But it was definitely not the season they were expecting.
I often think of you when I am talking to Browns reporters or thinking about the Browns or even the Jets, franchises that perpetually are losing. And if they're not losing, somehow they're shooting themselves in the foot. They're making changes. The constant change just keeps them in flux and in turmoil all the time, where the fans have come to expect that. But I think there's hope, right? Because the Knicks just won a championship. And every now and then you'll see a team that's won a championship for the first time.
Right.
Even the Lions getting to the NFC Championship a couple years ago was such a big story. If the Bills could ever get back to the Super Bowl and win it, certainly the New York Mets winning or getting back to the NL Championship, the Chicago Cubs finally, being able to win a World Series. We've got some of these great stories. The A's are one of those where it seems like forever since they've had that kind of success. And so I always think of you because you have to be creative. You have to be somewhat optimistic, but you also have to be realistic. And now here they are. They picked up. They are getting ready to move into the Vegas stadium whenever it's built. I'm sure it will have all the bells and whistles. But in terms of where that franchise is, how much do you think the move to Vegas will be the cure for what ails them?
I don't know. I really don't. I think it was one of those things where now that it's finally happening, we can kind of concentrate on the thing. And like I said, they're investing money into these guys like Lawrence Butler, Brent Rooker, Jacob Wilson, Tyler Soderstrom. Soderstrom is probably going to be one of the best players, if not like the top 5 guy in the next couple of years. He's an all-star. He's a superstar. Definitely one of the guys that I have a lot of questions prepared for, but he's getting better. I'm just really proud of him. just doing so well. So it's one of those things. I think it's going to be kind of interesting to see the Vegas thing. The thing about Oakland was, before all of the money during the Moneyball era, it was really about drawing fans to the game. And I think that's what the minor leagues are doing right now. Baseball, sometimes secondary or third, they just want people to get out there. I think you can really execute that in Vegas. I think that's what's interesting. I have no idea what you're going to do as far as if there's going to be any sort of, if they're leaning on the tourists a little bit too much. I'm from Reno, and Vegas is not a local city by any means. It's a lot of tourists. It's a lot of, transient people. So I don't know how it's going to open up to 162, because people are saying, oh, the Raiders and hockey, those are totally different schedules compared to what the A's are doing. But the few people I have talked to in Vegas are very excited. But if you look and you take a step back and you look what the A's have done historically, I can see it. And like in my mind, I see the circus. I see like the lights and all of that. And like bottle service, maybe. I don't know. I know they do that with the Raiders. So I could see that actually happening. I just hope that that's not, once again, is what is being concentrated on, because baseball, sometimes the game of baseball gets third, fourth in line about everything. So I think after the first couple of seasons, you mentioned the bells and whistles, that's going to be great. I don't know. I got to be honest, I'm not 100% confident in it. I think it's going to be great for the first couple of weeks. Honestly, it's going to be cool. And then after that, I think people are kind of going to do what they used to do. But think about A's fans, and you mentioned them, they're extremely passionate. They know the game so well.
Yes.
You have to, because you have to look for things like the small things and
be happy about
100%. And even that, like, that was what was cool about the down years. I got to really go in depth about the prospects and watching the scouts and talking to them, because there was the bigger things you couldn't concentrate on. And, the turnover was really cool. Seeing like these names I never thought would be there out there. So it's just one of those things that over time you take what you can get. But I think now more than ever, I have no idea what it's going to look like in Vegas.
I think the Raiders are still dealing with that. And the Golden Knights are different because they didn't come from anywhere else, and because they won right away.
You didn't abandon somewhere. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And with the Raiders, I think we're seeing it. That Allegiant Stadium is beautiful. People go to follow their team that's playing against the Raiders, visit Vegas, take in the new stadium. And it's the same thing I worry about that might happen with the A's, where they don't have their own fans. It's a little bit too far for people to be going, season ticket holders from the Bay Area every time. So they don't have their own fans, but maybe people use it to go watch their favorite team who are playing the A's and also take a trip to Vegas. But here's the other thing, Jess. I know that you know the area. That south end of the Strip is so crowded with stadiums now. You've got the Golden Knights, Allegiant Stadium. I'm not sure what the new baseball stadium will be named. Not to mention the arena where the Aces play. And I'm pretty sure UNLV is down there too, right?
Yeah.
So you've got these 5 stadiums that all clog traffic, but also require money to get into and resources. And I wonder if it's a bit of an oversaturation where maybe the A's end up getting the shaft, at least initially, until they're a winner.
That's an interesting thought too. And, the thing about Vegas is funny. You look at like all these casinos on the Strip kind of back to back, and you think, oh, I can get there in 10 minutes. It's a 2-hour walk to the next spot. People don't understand that. And you're also in the Vegas heat, which is very unforgiving. But you're right. I don't know if it's going to be one of those things where it's going to seem almost kind of like it's a fad. Like everybody's moving to Vegas. Everybody's doing this. So, I mean, I don't know, but I do know that there are some really cool marketing ploys that the A's have done over the years. So that part I'm really looking forward to. They're embracing the local area. They already have, the right reporters that they're trusting at the moment. They know the area as far as donating to spots. They even donated up in Northern Nevada, which I really, really appreciated because I'm from there. And I can see that. So they're doing the right things, like to kind of become a part of the community while still trying to do that with Sacramento too. So I was very impressed with what they were doing, despite only kind of renting it for a couple of seasons. But I think that's kind of the start. They want to have that. There's, Vegas coming, or A's coming to Vegas, stuff everywhere. But it'll be interesting because, like you said, at least when the Knights were there, it was kind of all about them. And then the Raiders come and it's like, oh, okay, well, there you go. And then finally WNBA is becoming a thing. And now the Aces are there, and they still have the AAA ballpark that the A's AAA team plays down there. So there's a lot. And I didn't even realize that until you kind of lay everything out. And of course it's, there's a lot of concerts that go there. So the Sphere is there, and you're right. Like I mean, the one thing about it is I don't have to worry about that traffic anymore since I'm not working for the A's. But at the same time, that I have no idea what that's going to look like. And,
yeah, crazy.
There could be one day where everybody's there, but then lately the strip seems a little bare. So I don't know how that's going to look. So, I mean, it's one of those wait and see type of things.
I am far from a Vegas expert. I've only been there one time. It's not really my kind of place.
Me neither. It's definitely not.
I was there for Super Bowl week, and I do remember what you're talking about. You could maybe only be a quarter mile away from something, or like you're walking from one hotel to the next one. Even going through the casinos takes forever because they try to direct all the traffic through the casinos. So yeah,
and no clocks in the casino. They want no clock. They want you to stay there forever.
Early.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you definitely do walk forever. So I guess that's one thing. One of the things that you do so well, and I'm so impressed, there's a lot of people in our business that try to cross over and make the ties between the sports and the pop culture or the entertainment. I mean, you think about it, they're always crossed because a lot of these athletes will run in the same circles as public figures, celebrities who follow their games, their teams, blah, blah. The Knicks are a great example. Hall of Fame inductions are a good example because you end up having a lot of public figures. Or even what we've seen this summer. Is it me? Or have there been a whole lot of athletes getting married this summer? Like high profile athletes, a lot of quarterbacks, it feels like. But Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift, the ultimate crossover. But it's not just that one. Josh Allen ends up marrying an actress.
Yes.
You have a baseball player who is married a singer. I mean, there's a lot of crossover too. And one of those popped into my mind this morning. And also I'm just so stunned about the death of Hayden Panettiere, but she was with a boxer, right? Like a boxer who was so successful and accomplished. And I'm old. Certainly older than Hayden was, but part of life when you get to be older is that you are cognizant of loss. And I think really going back, even I was on the air the night that Whitney Houston died, and I'll still never forget because she was one of my all-time favorite singers, entertainers, the impact that she had on my life when I was a kid, just listening to her. Used to sneak her music when mom wouldn't let me listen to pop music. And so now you get to be a little older, and the tragedy is it feels different. And so I don't know what happened. They have not released cause of death. I know she struggled with addiction for years, but gosh, I used to watch her every single week on Nashville. That was one of my obsessions when she was there with Connie Britton. And it's just so sad to think about. And the worlds do cross over. So there's a lot of also covering pop culture too.
Yeah, you know what? And the thing about her is, and I don't know if that's like a reach necessarily. I don't think so. Obviously, her role in Remember the Titans was it was like, as a young girl who talks about sports, there's so many times where people will look right through me when I'm trying to make a point or doing analysis. And it was nice to see a young female character talking about sports, and her father, the football coach, listens to her. Denzel Washington, his character, listens to her. And that's just something that didn't happen, especially back then. They were talking about, racial profiling and violence. And they're actually listening to a young white girl talk about sports and actually taking her word for it. And I think that that's what was really cool is, growing up, as like there's times where I didn't want to say anything about sports because I knew people wouldn't take me seriously. And I wanted to water myself down and dumb it down a little bit.
Be more like the guys.
100%. I felt like I was trying too much to get attention, which I like attention, but there's a time and place for it. And I think with that, it was nice to know that they heard her, they saw her, and that was so rare. And I think a lot of girls related to her. And 3 years ago she lost her brother, and she said that that's her other half, and she didn't know how she was going to go on without it. And you mentioned the addictions and stuff, and not that long ago she talked about how much she had so much life to live, and we don't know what happened, but 36 years old, I outlived her, and that's crazy. So it's just one of those things that you think about where the beautiful thing about being around athletes and celebrities is you do see that they're real people. And when Jose Fernandez died, for me, that was the first time when I was like, oh my gosh, that's crazy. Yeah. So they're young and they're still people. I think there is a beauty to that. Obviously, recently, one of my good friends down here, Michael Wagaman, passed away, and he was like a dad to me, and he was a part of the press box and our beat. And I think that alone just goes to show that when you're in this industry, you're surrounded by people 24/7, and there are people that are close to them because you have people that are close to you. So it's just very, very sad. And we don't know what happened yet, but I know she had a really tough life, and I just hope that there was some sort of peace in her before all of this happened, because you could just see she was not happy in some of these interviews. But obviously hindsight's 2020. We don't know. I'm not there listening to her, and I don't want to be that person, but either way, I know there's people that loved her, and I'm sure that they're very sad today.
It underscores this fact that these are people, they're humans, and just because they're famous and they have more money, in fact, more problems come with being famous and being in the spotlight all the time. And she's been really open about how early her problems with addiction started, and that actually some of the drugs that she was using were given to her when she was a child by industry leaders. And so I'm really glad. I know there's still a lot more of traffic and a lot more of real estate to cover, but that there's a light being shined on some of the practices and industries when it comes to children, when it comes to women, that type of thing. But yeah, really sad. And when you get older, again, life becomes more precious and you understand that it's not guaranteed. I know you understand that too. We, in our families. So I just was thinking about talking to you today and thinking, no doubt she will have a perspective on that. But 36 years old. That's a baby.
That is a baby.
I've got a niece that's about to be 30. So that just blows my mind when you think about it that way. Well, it is awesome to see you. It makes my Monday to see your beautiful face. I love that you were going to bring it for the show this morning.
I'm not just going to wake up and come on your show, Amy. I cannot do that.
However, I want to be honest and tell people, just because I was asking Jess for advice about being on camera, and she said, you know what? It's okay to have a day where your hair looks like poo and where you're not wearing makeup. So I haven't tried that yet. I'm not that confident, but I do appreciate that you are who you are, Jess. Amazing, talented, funny, my sister. And I just love that we get a chance to do this. So thank you.
Well, I'm just very proud of you. This is a very cool opportunity for you, and you're killing it. And the fact that you are a little bit worried about being on camera means you care. But I know you have a lot of people that are watching and following your career, and they're following you from everything else. And like I said, I went from TV to radio. You're going from radio to TV. That's a huge challenge. And you're not even talking to me. You're talking to a camera like right now, right? So it's weird. It's an inanimate object, but we talked about that, but you're doing amazing. And I'm very proud of you.
No, it's you today, Jess. It's you. So thank you. Good to see you. Love you.
Love you too.
Good stuff with Jess. And we covered a lot of territory, I know, running a little bit late, but she is worth it. And so funny that the stories about eating in slow-mo on a Jumbotron or on a big screen, that is probably my worst nightmare. I do not eat gracefully. No one needs to see that. And yet she is awesome. So make sure, I know her social media was there on the bottom of the screen. Thank you, Zach. But also when I share this interview on social in clips, I'll make sure I include her. Follow her because she's funny. I had no idea about the pet squirrel. Also, I still am not exactly sure I know how she has determined it's a female, Norma, and not Norman. But that's Jess. There's no one quite like her in the space.